Let's get it.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to A Few Good Movies. I'm Brendan Murphy.
I'm Mathew Brown.
And this week, we have our first guest, one of my close personal friends, podcast producer for the Carolina Panthers football organization, Matt Hogan. Oh, no, he's gone.
What a great intro. What a great intro.
Sorry about that. I'm using my phone. It's on 9% and it's charging. So.
That's great. Matt,
Sorry,
welcome to the show.
Go ahead and introduce yourself for a second, dude.
Yeah, so I'm the podcast producer, like Brendan said, for the Panthers. I'm 26 years old. I'm from North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina, and I've known Brendan now for Brendan, how long? Like 5 years, 6 years?
I think we're coming up on 6 years because I remember, I guess House of Brothers was 2014.
Something like that.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, 2014.
It seems like
about 6 years now. That's crazy. So yeah,
right?
And yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
Oh man, nice to have you on here.
For sure.
Yeah, man, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I figured since not only is it like first week of football that we're putting this out, by the time this comes out, like the first weekend will have passed, all the games have been played. It's also the 20th anniversary of this film we're talking about today, Remember the Titans. Came out 2000, around September time. That's right. That's my Blu-ray right there. Love it very much, very dearly. So I figured if I'm going to have someone on this podcast, it should be someone I know who like loves football the most, and that's Matt Hogan. So, and I know you also love this movie. Like,
I also
love this movie. Like about
It's I don't think there's a lot of good football movies, to be honest with you. I don't even know if the football in this movie is any good, but it is the best football movie, probably, I would say.
100%. Like, we were talking about it earlier today at work. Like, we were trying to think, like, are there any other, like, football movies that can compete with it? And we can't keep up with anything. Like, Rudy is, like, pretty good.
Yeah.
As a Notre Dame fan, I love Rudy, but, like, I'm not going to try to say that it's better than Remember the Titans.
No, I don't know. It's just, like, I haven't seen Any Given Sunday. I don't know too much about it. I just know Al Pacino's in it. I mean,
it's, like, pretty okay.
Is that any good? I haven't seen it.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's
like,
just fine. Yeah. The football in football movies is usually just garbage.
Yeah.
What about, have you guys seen Friday Night Lights?
I have seen the movie, not the show.
I remember the last time me and you tried to watch Friday Night Lights. Did not go well.
It did not, but I don't know. I don't really remember having too many hang-ups with the football. It was just the drama and the story, and it was weird to see Billy Bob Thornton as a football coach. I don't know. The whole thing was just, I didn't like it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just that thing where I feel like shooting, especially like football and basketball, like no one can do it right. Like Hoosiers was able to pull off basketball for the best, like the best for the most part. Like I don't think anything's really come close. The Way Back was pretty good. Like they were able to film the football pretty well. I saw that pretty recently. But like football and basketball, they just can't hack it. Like there's so many good baseball movies. There's so many good wrestling movies or boxing movies. They got some really good hockey movies out there. But like basketball, football, they cannot hack it.
I'll definitely give you that. They definitely make good boxing movies. I wish I liked real life boxing more, but those are definitely the best sports movies, I'd say.
100%.
Do you think football and basketball is harder to shoot because it's more of a fast-paced sport, or do you think it's just like the sport itself being so hard to like truly like duplicate?
I think maybe the POV shots and all these interesting angles they try to get for these sports scenes, I just think most people haven't played football, so they don't really know what it's like to run around with all this gear. A natural sight for them is just like a boring right to left, just watching a football game on a broadcast or even at the stadium. It's mostly just right to left, left to right. And I don't know. I think it's just hard to kind of, I don't know. I feel like I lost my train of thought there, but I just feel like it's just hard to duplicate what you see on TV because what you see on TV is actually kind of boring. But I don't know. It's hard to explain.
Yeah. For me, I would say the reason baseball movies work so well is because it's literally you're focusing on one thing at a time.
Exactly.
Like, especially baseball especially when you're doing it like as a movie, is a lot about mind games between just the pitcher and the batter, whatever. Or you'll have like the person out in the outfield who catches it. Like, there's like stuff where you can focus on that you're not gonna have a hard time filming.
Which is why, like in Moneyball, when they did those like flashbacks or whatever, those shots, it was just like a black backdrop and there's like minimal fans, and that was really cool. That was a really creative way to do it. And because it was baseball, you could kind of just do that. It felt more like a comic book. I don't know. It just was great.
Yeah. Like, there's not much you're filming with any really of these sports that we're talking about where it's like really good. Like baseball, there are only so many shots you can do with that. Boxing, you just have the ring basically. I mean, it's basically you're just filming another fight scene, but the guys are just like in this box and there are the rules and like everything like that with boxing.
And there's drama outside the ring and all this.
For sure. Absolutely. Hockey, I feel like actually kind of works because it's a lot more fluid than something like basketball or football, if that makes any sense. Like, you look at like a movie like Miracle, like that movie looks amazing. Hockey is filmed so well in that movie. I don't know exactly how they were able to pull that off, but like, looks so good. I think the thing with football is there's just so much going on at any given time.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many people trying to defend. There's so many people trying to do their jobs. Like, there's 11 people out on the field. It's like 22 people you got to like do
with
coverage.
Baseball. Yeah, it's exactly like what you said, and it's kind of what I was saying, but you kind of mixed and matched what I said in a better way, and you articulated it better and added your own spin, and I liked it. And it was the fact that you said you can focus in on one person, and that's exactly right, because football, the drama isn't exactly where the ball is at all times. So you can't really just focus on where the ball is. You have to look at it holistically, which is what I was trying to say when I said, it's a top down. On TV, it's a very top down, left to right kind of view, and you can kind of take in all of the drama at once, where in baseball, like you were saying, you can kind of cut away from wherever the ball is or wherever. You can focus on wherever the drama is, because baseball is, quite frankly, a lot of standing around.
Yeah. Which I think is why it works so well for movies, is because you can like build that tension or something like especially like a movie like Moneyball, or like even like The Natural or Major League. Like the best part of any movie, and whether each like baseball movie is going to like win or lose, is that last matchup you have between like a pitcher and a batter. Like, where you're just like, when are they going to throw out the pitch? Just like shot, reverse shot, shot, reverse shot, shot, reverse shot, just like score building, like getting closer into each actor. Like, there's a lot you can play with there. With football, you're like the quarterback. The camera is kind of like the quarterback, where you're just like trying to like, what's going on here? What's going on? Where can I find something? I don't know. And that's like not supernatural in the way that we like shoot movies or how movies usually are done. And I think basketball kind of has the same thing too. Where it's just like, there's just a lot you have to focus on, and it's just like super hard to shoot.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, back to the original, like, yeah, I agree. Like, this is the best I've seen football shot. Like, I can't think of another movie that does it this well.
I mean, I agree. I think the bar is really low, but I do think this movie does it better than most. I don't mean to crap on it so much, but it's something I want so much, is a good, well shot, creatively shot. Like, even if you want to do like a Moneyball approach where you do a black backdrop or something like that, I don't know. Somebody needs to take a football movie, a good script, and they need to do more than just the typical, like, every football movie just has like everybody in pads doing like jumping jacks. It's like, it's in every football movie. It's like it's like 90% of football movies is just like football players standing around like stretching and doing jumping jacks. And I don't want that. I like The Blind Side. I'm pretty sure that whole movie takes place either in a recruiting office, a gym, or at practice. Like, I feel like somebody can take advantage of that. And there's so, like, all these teams have all these great digital media guys who film all these shots, and they're really talented with a camera. I don't know why you can't incorporate some of those guys into, like, okay, what is the natural flow and feel of a football game? You've shot, 100, let's say. Like, tell me what kind of angles I need to be getting, or I don't know, something along those lines, to just really be inventive and come up with a football movie that feels like you're watching football. You're not watching, I don't even know. It just looks ridiculous half the time in any football movie.
Yeah. Like, especially You would think, now I don't know, they could have done this with a number of football movies, and I just don't know because I'm talking out of my ass a little bit. But like, you would think that like the first thing that people would do would like be to contact those guys who have been working like 20 years, like filming football. Like, it's the same thing with like people who shoot like action movies or whatever like this. You want people who have done like martial arts for years and stuff like that. Like, okay, how's this going to work? Where are we going to be able to put the camera? How is this going to work?
Yeah. And maybe they did consult people like that. I don't know, but
yeah,
it doesn't feel like it.
Yeah. I mean, they got a really good cinematographer for this. I mean, so much so that like after this movie, like Denzel like consistently went back to work with this cinematographer, and you can see why.
Yeah.
Like this movie, not just the football stuff, like it looks gorgeous.
No, it's shot incredibly well.
Like even just like those opening shots of them at the graveyard are just like, it's just like exactly what you think autumn looks like in one shot.
Yeah. And like the scene where they're running through the woods and it's progressively getting, lighter, and it really does feel like you woke up at 4 a.m. and you're sweating and it's like just muggy and gross. That movie is so great. I was just watching before because it's been probably about a year since I've watched the movie, so I was just watching some clips, and that was one of them that popped up on like the best of reel or whatever. But
of course,
that's a home run scene for sure.
Yeah. And then like it's a movie that like it's a weird way to put it, but I just like thought of it like it's a movie that like really looks like a movie. Like there are a lot of movies that like we were just talking about like all the Ocean's movies and how Ocean's 12 is like doing like a whole bunch of different crazy stuff and doesn't look like your classical kind of movie. Like this is the kind of movie you like expect when someone is watching a movie within a movie. Like that's what a movie looks like. Like specifically, I was like the shot when Will Patton like comes out to talk to the referee and does his big old like, I know what you're doing. If you don't stop, I'm going to go to the papers. I'll bring all of you down with me. Like the shot of him like walking up is like, oh my fucking God, this is incredible.
You know he means business when he's pulling up there.
Yeah. 100%.
Oh, shit.
But yeah, so I guess we should do just like a little background on the movie. Like I said, it came out in 2007, directed by Boaz Yakin, who has a great name. Love it. About the T.C. Williams high school football team in the 1971 season when their school integrated and the football team itself integrated. You have Herman Boone coming in to coach, played by the great Denzel Washington, taking over for Coach Yost, played by Will Patton. And, it's that classic kind of sports movie, like these guys who don't like each other, they got to come together to be a team and win. And one of the better examples of one of those types of movies. Like, yeah, it's not just one of the best football movies. Like, I consider it one of the better just sports movies all time.
For sure.
Like, I think it pretty much nails everything. There are a couple things we'll talk about later that I think could have used a little bit more work, but like, this cast is incredible. The direction is great. The script is great. So many memorable moments, quotes, the score and the soundtrack both kick tons of ass.
Yeah.
Like every facet of this movie is just like going 100 miles per hour. Like it's incredible.
I think the editing is done super well too, because there's a lot of like jump cuts that happen like when a scene ends and you jump to the next one. And it just fits so perfectly. Like it embodies how I felt. I know I was just talking to you about this at work, but when they're all fighting, and then the very next shot, it just jumps to Denzel and he goes, a bunch of tough guys, huh? And it's just like, I got worked up with him when he said it, because I was like, I mean, it's literally a bunch of tough, it was my exact thought. And then it just jumped right to him saying it.
Mm-hmm.
And they do that a couple other times. That's the only specific example that I have off top. But they do that more than once in the movie. And it really, there's something super powerful about it, because instead of like working its way up to it, it just boom, it just hits you and you're just right there.
Mm-hmm.
I love the way they do that. The editing was done very well.
Oh, absolutely. Should we talk about Denzel right now? Is that
we can talk about Denzel?
Yeah, we can talk about it.
Holy shit, guys. He's so good in this movie.
Yeah. I was thinking about this just a second ago, if you don't mind.
Go for it.
So that first scene, and I could be wrong, it might not be the first scene, but if it's not the first scene, it's like the second scene. That first scene where he walks into the gym and all the black players are in the gym. And it's like, is that not the first scene that we see him?
No, we have a couple scenes. We have the scene where like he's in – the first time we see him is like when he's in Yost's office to accept the assistant coach.
That's right.
And then we have the because he's still like, and then there's all the stuff where like, they tell him that they're going to promote him to the head coach, and he's like, I don't want to do that. I've had someone take my job before because of race, and I don't want that to happen to somebody else. And we have the whole scene where they're like out in the neighborhood, and everyone in the black community is like come out to like be like, oh my God, Coach Boone, we're so excited to see you play. Like, here's my son, Julius Campbell. He's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. Good. And then, yeah, like pretty much the scene after that is when we get the scene in the gym.
Okay, so that scene, so we're 10 minutes into knowing this guy. And for a lot of people in our age bracket, our generation, that might very well be like the first or one of the first scenes, definitely the first movie probably, for people being introduced to Denzel Washington. And so at least for me, when I think of Denzel Washington, like I think of this movie, and more specifically that scene, because that was, you know, that's the first like powerful acting, great acting scene from him in that movie. And that's the first time, you're introduced to a character or an actor like that. So for me, when I think about that movie, that's got to be the first time we were all introduced to him, right? I can't think of an earlier. I wasn't watching R-rated, I was watching Training Day when I was 7 years old. So I don't. That's got to be the first time for. And
if you want to get into third grade in North or South Carolina, you have to have watched Remember the Titans.
It's
like they won't let you in.
They'll hold you back if you don't watch it.
It's like, at the door they just ask you.
Like a play at the end of the year where we act out the movie. I'm just kidding.
It's like when you come to the door first day, they're like, what kind of power you got? If you don't say soul power, they like immediately kick you out of the school. Straight Fs down the line. Everyone, like, you got to do the walk of shame.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But no, that's a great point, because like I hadn't thought about it. Like that is probably like the first time we get to see like Denzel.
Yeah.
Be Denzel, especially like in this movie, because obviously we all know Denzel as like the guy who like will decimate you in like 5 seconds with just the way he talks and everything like that. Like I remember me and you watching like the Jay Farrow Denzel Washington impression on SNL, and I was like, oh my God, that's him. That's exactly the energy that I think of when I think of Denzel. And that's I mean, I was thinking about this earlier, like basically what this movie is, he took his character from Training Day, took him down like 1 or 2 notches, and like put him in a high school football situation, put like a little more heart into it. But like that's what he does to these players, is just like absolutely destroy them.
Oh, like I was thinking about that, and I love how they purposefully do. So he introduces himself to the black players in the gymnasium, and I feel like the attitude from when he's talking to Turk, I feel like Turk is like, hey, he's like black man represent. Yeah, let's go. Yeah, he's like, you got, black guys got the job, so we're all good. And then he shows up and he's like, nah, you're wrong. And he puts him in his place and he roasts everybody there. And then the very next scene, he goes and he's at the buses waiting on, all the white boys. This is the first scene he meets all the white guys, and they all want to like separate and be on a different bus. And he's just as hard on them, but not any harder than he has to. It's just perfect. Like he just doesn't care, and he's just roasted everybody.
No, I mean, they have that scene later in the movie where it's after Yost puts Petey on defense, where Boone is like chewing Yost out because like you like completely like went over my head on this one. Like you didn't even talk to me, anything like that, and he's pissed. It's just like, I don't see you, like whenever I yell at Bertier, you're not coddling him, or like whenever I come down on Sunshine, you're not coddling him. Like I'm a mean cuss, but I'm the same mean cuss to everyone in that locker room. Yeah. Like that's the thing about Herman Boone. Like, oh my God, like
he's consistent.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. I was just about to say he's consistent as they come.
Yeah, because like you have the scene with Petey and everything, and it's like it's football fun, which is great, incredible, so good.
Think or oh now you're thinking. You sure? Dude, he tears Petey apart and sets the tone for the rest of the movie. You're like, geez, all right.
No fun.
Exactly. Very tone setting, that's for sure.
And then like he immediately does the same exact thing to Gary Bertier with the Dean Martin, Jerry Lewis routine. Who's your daddy? Mm-hmm. It's great. Which that's one of the one things I was kind of bothered by, because I've listened to a couple other podcasts about this movie, and specifically one that's called Black Men Can't Jump in Hollywood, which is a really great podcast if you want to hear like their take on it, because obviously we're three white guys talking about a movie about race right now. And their whole thing is like, they look at these kinds of movies from the black perspective. And they were like, this scene right here in the front of the bus is where all the white parents are there. And he's talking to these two white kids like this. That man is ran out of town immediately. No question. It's over.
Yeah, you can't help but think that. And that, you know, I do feel like they kind of, and even at the, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves here, but like even at the end of the movie, like all he did was like win a football game, and everybody's like, it's all right now. It's like, is that really the message? That
100%. Like so, we're gonna get into that stuff 100%, but like it's just this thing. It's the Disney racism thing, which like, but once again I think the fact that this is, which I didn't realize this till this time I watched it, but like this is a screenplay written by a black man. And I think that's why this movie works a lot better than other movies of this ilk, like talk about like A Green Book or something like that, where it's just like it gets so much wrong. All these little moments that Remember the Titans has, like this other movies don't. Mm-hmm. Like specifically, like one of the first scenes that really popped out to me is like when after one of the first wins, like they go out on the town and like Sunshine is telling the boys like, hey man, let's go into this restaurant here. And Petey's like, we can't do that. I don't know what you're talking about. And Sunshine's like, no man, we can go in there. It's cool, man. Like, don't worry about it. We just won. Like, this is going to be a great time. And the second they get in there is like, what are you doing in my restaurant? I'm not going to serve you. If you want some food, you can go around back and we'll give it to you there, but you are not eating in my restaurant.
Yeah.
And the second, like, Petey walks out, he's, like, pissed. And Sunshine's like, why are you mad at me? He's like, dude, what? And Sunshine's like, I didn't know it was going to be like that. I was like, what are you talking about? I told you it was going to be like that. Like, it's this great moment where it's just like, you know, the white people are still just thinking, like, oh, it's fine now. Like, we're good. And, like, no, it's not. Like,
it's not cool.
There's this whole other world that these people are living in apart from, like, Sunshine or Gary or anybody else on the team. Like, and I think those moments are what, like, really make this movie special.
I agree. It just gives them, it's very subtle in the way that it gives perspective, and I like it. Yeah. I like it that way. I like how it's, you don't have to come out and say it. You can explain it in a way that just kind of feels like your perspective can be changed or enhanced a little bit. You know what I'm saying? It's it's not spoon-fed to you, but it I don't know what I'm trying to say, but you kind of get what I'm saying.
Yeah, 100%.
I think another perfect example is what you were talking about, like when the brick gets thrown through his window. Mm-hmm. He's talking about, he's like, I mean, you know, now you get a glimpse into what I live every day. Like, that's what my daughter has to do every single day. I know, you know, you're upset because your daughter's like in danger and all that. He's like, but now, you know, this is a glimpse of my life.
Yeah.
That's a great point right there. That's another great example of that happening.
Well, specifically because Yost tells him, like, because of your sins, my daughter was put in danger. It's like, because of my sins? What are you talking about? Like, what have I done?
Right.
And, like, because Yost was like, you got to stop, like, being loud and stop talking like this and, like, interacting with people this way. And it's just like, what are you talking? I'm talking like any other coach would. Like, I don't understand.
Right.
This is what I do. So, like, what's the problem? But yeah, and I guess this is another good segue into just, like, the team itself. It's kind of incredible how good, like, uniformly good this cast is.
Awesome. Yeah. It works. It gels so perfect.
Like, they all have great chemistry with each other. Mm-hmm. Like, whether it's Donald Faison or Wood Harris or Ryan Gosling, like, everyone is just, like, they're all in. They're all perfect, like, for this movie. And, like, whenever you add someone in, like, when Sunshine comes in, he's just another, like, great addition to the cast. Like, they all work so well. And, of course, you got to talk about the relationship between Julius and Gary, the bromance of the century. Like, the heart of this movie, like, every time I see this movie, I think I'm prepared for where it ends up, and I'm not. Like, every single time, like, when he walks into the hospital room and does the whole, like, Alice, are you blind? Don't you see the family resemblance? That's my brother. It's just like waterfalls.
Yeah, every time.
Like, the way they build that relationship is really kind of stunning. Like, we've seen that kind of thing so many before, like, we hate each other. And they're like, nah, we're the best friends who've ever lived. Like, it's great. But I don't know, you really see it evolve in such a great way. Like, especially after the like I'm blanking on it. Attitude reflects leadership scene. Like,
which is the greatest quote of all time, dude. I quote it all the time.
One of the best. I mean, we'll dig into how many good quotes this movie has, because I know me and you, we've been going back and forth all week.
Yeah.
With just like remember the Titans quotes. And watching it again, I just like have 100 more that I could like rattle off. Like, all the mama jokes are fantastic. Louis Elastic coming in with the greatest of all time. Just like, man, I just gave your mama a piggyback ride and she weighs twice as much as me.
I love when they're in all those scenes of them being in the locker rooms and clowning each other and just like, they represent that really well. Like, if you've ever played football, that totally had that vibe of like
100%.
That locker room, like buddies, like everyone's just hazing each other and giving each other shit for what happened on the field.
Oh yeah.
They really captured that well.
I mean, even just the dorm stuff. Like, I love when Gary Bertrier's on the phone with his girlfriend and there's the huge line behind him. Everyone's like, come on, we got our girlfriends too. And just like, I'm not going to hang up till you say it. Just like, I love you, sugar. Like, it's fucking great. Like, it's exactly like when you put like 40, 50, how many ever guys together in one place, living there for like 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
That's all that's going to happen.
It's the only thing that can happen.
Yeah. Like, we just had your bachelor party, like 10 guys together. Like, it's exactly what happens. It's going to happen every single time.
Yeah, that's about how it goes.
Yeah.
One thing I do have to say that's just funny to me, the casting is great, but I couldn't help but laugh at the idea that these people were like 16 and 17.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not.
I was like, these are grown-ass men. There's Gary Bertier's as old as Denzel. There's no way he's 17.
No.
All three of us look way younger.
Yeah.
Like Wood Harris is like 2 years from The Wire at this point.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, is Donald Faison in Scrubs right now as this movie comes out? Like, they're all about to be like
I think he's like a year or two away.
Yeah, like they're all like about to be in the roles where they're like, you can't be high school anymore. Like, you're about to have like, be in a thing where like your job is like you're at least 30. Like,
the only person who looks like they're in high school is Ryan Gosling, because I think he might have actually been in high school around that time.
Yeah, I think he
born in the 1980s.
Not even that. He's kind of got like a baby face. Like, he's just like a little cutie, so that like is gonna bring him down a couple years.
Sure.
Which, man, that's just crazy. That like, out of all the performances in this movie, and I mean no disrespect to Ryan Gosling, it's crazy that you look at everyone in this movie, like what they're doing. Like, Gary and Julius are so good. You have some other great cast members. Like, I think Rev is great. I think Sunshine's great. But, like, he's the one that comes out of this movie and is, like, the huge megastar.
Yeah.
I was actually looking at that. I was just going through the IMDb about an hour ago. And he's, like, the 15th on the billing. And I'm just like, I would have never read through this list and been like, all right, Ryan Gosling's the guy who's going to take off from this movie.
Yeah. He's like on the same level as, like, Blue. Like, those are the last guys. Like, if you need to cut some fat off the movie, those are the scenes that are getting cut.
Yeah, literally.
Like, everyone else, like, Petey's not getting cut. Julius isn't getting cut. Gary's not getting cut. Like, they're literally, like, you know how there's, like, in sports movies, just, like, the team members that you're never going to see any of. They're never going to have a line. Like, they're right on that edge.
Yeah. The name of the teammate.
And now Ryan Gosling, he's, like, been nominated for a couple Oscars. Like, in some of the bigger movies the last couple of years, considered one of the best of our generation.
Blade Runner.
Yeah.
I just read he was the first person born in the 1980s that was nominated for Best Actor.
Really?
Yeah. Don't quote me on that, but like I was reading, it was on IMDb, so I'm going to assume the truth of it. But he was the first actor born in the 1980s that was nominated for Best Actor.
Now I'm guessing that's was that for Half Nelson or was it for La La Land? It was for Half
Nelson. Very good, Brendan.
That makes a little more sense. So it was like, La La Land, there had to have been some other people born in the 80s to have been nominated for Best Actor.
Yeah, La La Land came out several years after. Half Nelson came out in like 2006, right?
Something like that.
And La La Land was like 2013, wasn't it?
Yeah. Not even. I think it was like 2016. Yeah, it was the Moonlight year. That was like
I got it
2016.
right here. Let's see here. It's
Yeah, that's a 10-year jump. It's a whole
I feel
decade.
like there had to be somebody.
Yeah, for sure.
yep, 2016. Brendan was right.
2016, yep.
I got that shit on lockdown. We all know this.
I know. but just-
Think of getting that.
it's right here on my shelf, so I thought maybe I got it.
Probably that's the way to go. But yeah, like their camaraderie across the board is just really fun. Like even like Louis Elastic, like everybody like that. Like it's not necessarily this, but like when they're just like going through like just up at camp, like it almost feels like a little bit like a hangout movie, like a little bit like Dazed and Confused or like an Everybody Wants It, where you just like get to hang out with people for a little bit.
Yeah.
Like
Get to know
especially
them.
yeah, like even in like the cafeteria where like Petey does this whole like, listen, I don't care anything, but like I gotta know. Like I'm your roommate, like you gotta tell me. Well, if it's not a big deal, what's the problem? He's like, I gotta know. It's like, don't play my games with my mind. Like it's and yeah, it's also crazy that like 2-3 people just get like to be the main characters in like a couple TV shows for like 5 years. Like
What's his face from me not My Name is Earl.
Louis
What's that
Elastic,
guy's name?
right?
Yeah, Louis Elastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude,
I
that
think-
scene with him and Denzel in the cafeteria,
Oh, my
that is
God.
such a heartwarming scene.
It really is.
And then at the end of the movie when it goes full circle and he's like, I'm gonna graduate, and he's like so pumped, very Tommy Boy-esque. That's
A
the
little
best.
bit. Yeah, 100%. Like I fucking love how he just does the little aside, like he's just like, if you're not gonna go to college, it's not gonna be because you can't make it. Like we're gonna go over your test scores every week, and I was like, oh, Denzel.
A great
Oh my
father
God.
moment.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think the actor's name is Ethan Suplee. Like he's just, I don't know, like he's one of the like warmer characters in the entire movie. I just love
he's
it whenever
great.
he pops up.
He just shows up and he's just ready to play football, man.
He's everybody's best friend.
Yeah.
Like anybody could walk up to Louis Elastic and he's just like, hey man, let's just hang out for a little bit. You want like a hug or something? Like he's the best.
He's the kind of person that would invite you over to like the lunch table. He'd be like, you can come sit here, man. Like,
Yeah.
100%. I mean, Gary like rejects people from the lunch table like twice in this movie. Like he has that at the beginning of the movie, and then like when he's like, nah, I'm hanging with Julius, like he sends Ray over to the offensive table, which
Whoa.
solid move by Gary Bertier.
Yeah, Gary's all in one way or the other. He
For
really
sure.
That's one thing.
I love when the solidarity starts within the camp and like that moment with, left side, strong side, and Gary and Julia start setting the tone. I love that way of like nonverbal between the two of them saying, all right, we're on the same page, and it happening like that. And you get that. I got like chills up my spine when they do the left side, strong side, and everyone's like,
Oh yeah.
we're about to do this.
It's just like they have like 2 or 3 scenes like that because you have that one
Mhm.
when they do the whole like what kind of power you got. I got soul power. How strong are you? Too strong. Like it seems like the team is kind of built on that relationship.
Mhm.
Like I feel like once that relationship starts to solidify, like it spreads through the rest of the team.
100%.
And I think that's why it's such a hard blow when Gary's in the crash, because you're like, what's going to happen with the team?
Mhm.
Like those were the 2 guys, like those were the glue. Like what happens after this?
What's good? Yeah.
God, I like, and that friendship is just so good. Like I can't say enough about just like that relationship in this movie is really something special. Like I feel like so many other movies, it takes a lot of shortcuts getting to where Julius and Gary get.
Mm-hmm.
Like especially with some of the other stuff, like Gary's girlfriend like leaves him and he picks Julius. Like that's great. Love that.
Because you won't shake his hand.
Yeah, for sure. It's just I don't know what else I can say about it. It's just like that I love that relationship so much.
I was going to say, this is a classic case of the I love everything's great, because there's a lot to say good about this movie and very little to say bad. I don't, except for the actors not looking 17. I really don't know what I have bad to say about this.
The only sin it has is not really a sin that's unique to it. It's just like what we were saying. It's just most football movies aren't really all that great. But this one is still manages to be a really great movie despite that. And that's not even its fault. It's just That one does
That's
it
good.
better than any movie that's come after it. And that movie was almost 20 years old, like you said.
It is
So
20 years old. It's
it
like
is-
came
it is
out
20 years old. Yeah, that's why we're doing this. Yeah,
like a week or two. It'll turn 20. Like now, if we want to get into this now, I will, because we are talking about how like the movie's got some faults. I will say this: there's a lot of baggage that comes with the Disney racism that this movie has.
Yeah.
true.
And as much as I said, like, I think the fact that this movie was written by a person who's black helps it a lot to avoid a lot of those traps. There is still some that is there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Matt was talking about earlier, like, once they start winning a few football games, like, maybe these black people, they're okay.
Yeah, it's like, why is that the reason you choose
we get to go,
like and not like people?
We get to go to state. You know what? Maybe I'll give them a pass this time. Like, these guys right here.
But next year,
Watch
they yourself, McCoy.
We need exact or better, or else we're going back to the same one.
I was gonna say, God forbid we lose a game, and man, the rebel flags are gonna fly out.
I mean, literally, they say that in the movie. If
it's crazy. It's
they
like
lose a game, Boone's out.
You lose a game, we throw a brick through your window.
Yeah.
But you take us to state, and
even he wins every game. He like gets a brick tossed through his window.
Yeah. He's 9-0 with a brick tossed through his window.
Yeah. Especially like one of the things that struck me a lot this time was that first scene when Denzel and his family are moving in, and like you get those shots like behind the windows of like the white people kind of just being like, "Oh my God, are those the movers?" No, I think they're like moving in. It's just, and like, how many of them are going to start moving in? It's just like, wow, this is like disgusting, the things they're saying. It makes me feel a little icky.
It's a little rough, man.
Yeah, and then like an hour and a half later, like there's the scene where they all like come out of their houses like, yay! Herman Boone! I'm like, oh, fuck you guys.
Yeah, the neighbors had a whole had a whole character arc somehow.
Yeah, and it's just like, this feels disgusting to see like them like walk out and start like clapping and like, yay! And the same with like, and I know it's like a movie, they only have 2 hours and everything like that, but like the shortcut that it's like the shortcuts they don't take with Gary or Julius, they have to take with like the girlfriend who's like, nice to meet you, with the handshake and like, I'm not racist anymore.
Yeah.
Like, isn't that nice? Or like, now I don't fault it as much because like, once again, the things I just said about, but like, especially with Gary's mother too, like that woman has been set in her ways for like 60, 70 years. Yeah. And like the way like Julius comes in, I mean, it works in the movie towards the end, like when she comes into the stadium and like everyone's applauding for her and she goes to sit down with Denzel's wife and everything. Like, it's nice, but in the back of your head, you're still kind of like, I don't know. I don't believe it 100%.
Yeah.
And like the one that really got me this time is when Julius goes into Gary's neighborhood and there's a cop that pulls up next to him and the cop rolls down his window, is giving him like the stern look. And he's like, nice game on Saturday. And I'm like, why is this the way you're doing this?
Yeah, it's such an intimidating way to tell somebody that
it's just like
football.
Especially 2020, that scene does not play well. Like, it's just yikes all the way around. But like then it's like counteracted with all this stuff, and I'm gonna come back to like crazy. Where it's just like you think about what people are meeting Coach Boone with their like criticisms in the town and everything like that. Especially Yost, who's like, you need to quiet down and stuff like that. It's just like, you know, it's the same as like shut up and dribble today.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's all the exact same stuff. Or like when, especially with like the Kaepernick stuff and everything like that. Like I thought about when Gary wants to go play basketball with Julius in Julius's neighborhood. And he's like trying to tell his mom, like, you know, if you just want to get to know him, you should like listen to him. Like, and she's like, I don't want to get to know him. And it's the same as like, I don't want to hear what Kaepernick has to say. He like kneeled down and I don't want to listen to him. And so it's just like, it's the same exact shit that like was happening 70 years ago. They wrote for this movie 20 years ago. And that it's just like still happening.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know like how specifically, or like, it's the same thing with like how Contagion predicted everything that happened with this pandemic. It's just like, I don't know exactly how they nailed this conversation, but they did. And once again, I think that's just because like it has a very good writer behind it.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I'm exactly on your guys' side. Like I love this movie. I've watched it 100 times. I'll watch it 100 more. Like, but it still just has it has those few problems, but just like it's all the good still really shines through.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I think its faults are like the severity. I don't punish it as much for those. Those are obvious faults, but I do think the intentions behind the movie are really good. So and like you said, the writer is both well intentioned and a good writer. So I think it's forgivable, but I do think it does struggle with a lot of those issues that you were talking about.
I think it also, just like you were saying about like a football movie, like it just comes with any, like this genre in general.
Yeah.
Like we have a long history of these types of movies where it's just like, you know, whether it's something like Glory, which Denzel won his first Oscar for, like has a lot of the same problems where it's just like,
it's just a cliche, unfortunately, but I think, I think it hasn't, I can't tell you the last time I saw something like that done recently with a new movie. So I guess that's something.
Yeah, I mean, there are a couple of movies that have like, because we've started letting Black people into the writers' rooms and sitting in the director's chair. Like I think, like something like Get Out was really good. I think I watched 42 again a week or two ago because everything that was happening with Chadwick, and that's a movie that has as much like the same exact problems that this movie has, if it has any. And it's just like, but it still gets like a lot right. It's just that there's still like this couple problems. But like now we have people like Ava DuVernay, Jordan Peele, like coming into the industry and like starting to make movies that don't have those problems, or even like Ryan Coogler. Like I think both the Creed movies are pretty great. But yeah, like besides those problems, like still pretty great. It's like 100% a crowd pleaser. Like I don't think I've met a single person who like outright hates this movie.
Yeah.
Like even people who are just like cited the same exact problems I just mentioned are still like, but yeah, this movie's pretty fucking great. Like there's no question about it.
My fiance she had never seen it from like start to finish. She had just seen like, you know, every kid's seen bits and pieces of that movie growing up, I'm sure. So she had just seen it like on, you know, her dad's into sports, so maybe she'd seen it on the background or whatever. But she, a year ago, when she told me that we were having a conversation about movies that everybody's seen, and I was like, oh, well, Remember the Titans, everybody's seen that. And she's like, I've never seen that. And I was like, what are you talking about? So we went home, we watched it, and she's like, isn't this like a really cheesy, corny, like, am I gonna hate it? And I was like, no, it's fun, just watch it. And she was like going into it like very skeptical, and she came out, she's like, that was a great movie. That was a great movie. I loved every second of it.
Yeah.
Who doesn't like the movie? And she can be picky about movies too, but she loves it.
Yeah. Like it's very sneaky. Like On Its Face is exactly that movie.
Yeah.
Like especially if you pull out like one or two scenes, like especially, we haven't talked about it yet, but like any scene with Hayden Panettiere, you're like, what is this?
Yeah.
What's going on here?
That.
Like if you're just like, if you show someone that is like, wait, like I think Hayden Panettiere is very good in the movie. Like I think in context, she works very well.
Sure.
But like if you just like showed someone like any of the scenes, like especially the scene where like Yost loses the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And she's like looking up at her father, just like, you're still a Hall of Fame in my book, like, and all of that. And you're just like, okay, all right. And she's like doing the same thing that like any kid in a sports movie has done for the last like 30 years, where she's just like super into sports. She shows everybody like what's what, like she knows everything. Like even the parents in the stand, she's just like schooling them on everything. Like
it's those scenes can be kind of rough, and they're tough to get through at times, but
yeah,
it in context, I guess they are a little bit better.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's just like, you know, it's out of all the movies that have done that thing, like this is, like I said, it's like probably the best that's done it.
Mm-hmm.
Like think about like SJ in The Blind Side. Like who would you rather have?
Yeah,
right?
I'll give you that.
Right? His whole fucking thing is like, Mom, I want to go get mad, and like that's his whole thing for the whole movie. It's just like, it's ridiculous.
Why you got a bag on SJ, man?
It's a bad movie. It's a bad movie. I'm not going to try to defend The Blind Side.
I kind of like The Blind Side.
I couldn't tell you the last time I saw that movie.
It's a feel-good story, all right?
I just remember I remember Nick Saban's in it. I know that much.
They get all the like college coaches to come in for a little bit. Like that's their big thing.
It's so weird.
Yeah, it's just like I don't know. It feels like
Didn't she win an award for that movie?
she won Best Actress for that
Yeah,
movie.
That's ridiculous. That's crazy to me.
It's insane.
I can't believe that happened.
That's a career award right there. Where they were just like, we're gonna give it to Sandy, I
I
guess.
can't believe that happened. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
it's not the most deserved award for best actor.
No,
Not the
Who
most.
else was nominated that year? Does anyone know?
we can check that out real quick. But like, it's talking about like, especially like comparing this movie to that movie. Like that is like basic like white savior movie where like, oh, look at Sandra Bullock, she's doing such a great thing, isn't that nice? That's awesome. Like there's only one black person in the cast.
Yeah, it's
Everyone else is a drug dealer or a pimp or some shit, literally.
It's tough.
Like the only other black actor in that movie, like his big thing, he's like the only time you see him is like he's sitting on a couch, he's got a 40 in his hand, and he's in like a drug den, and it's like, Jesus. Like, no.
yeah. I think I don't know if I am remembering correctly, but I think you're right.
Like it's after like Michael Oher finds out that like, oh my God, you like adopted me so I could play for Ole Miss? Like, which once again, rough.
Yes,
Rough plot
that's,
line.
dude, that's so tough. Like you basically purchased. It's tough.
It's such a bad movie. Like, and I'll give it this: Sandra Bullock is good in that movie.
Yeah.
Like, I'll give her that. Like the Oscar scenes that they showed and everything, like, pretty solid performance. The movie itself, no, thank you. But like that's the thing. Like this movie has so much more like smaller, smarter moments dealing with that kind of stuff that movie like has no intention of trying to even pull off.
It just takes like big swings, I feel like.
Yeah, it's like the exact antithesis to this movie. It's actually kind of great we brought it up because it's like so like stark
what
contrast.
can go wrong, you know,
Yeah.
versus what kind of went wrong.
Yeah. And I don't know, like I said, like it really shows like the work that the people put into this movie to actually make sure that it like works as well as it does. Okay, so I got the best actress thing up. So we've got Sandra Bullock for The Blind Side. We've got Helen Mirren for The Last Station, Carey Mulligan for An Education, Gabourey Sidibe for Precious, and Meryl Streep for Julie and Julia. Which I'll say this, not the strongest year.
I was gonna say that's a little tough.
That's pretty bad.
Let me look. Like, what else is?
All of a sudden, Sandra might have deserved it.
No, that's
All
what
of a
I
sudden-
think it was just like that perfect storm of just like
Wait,
there's not a whole lot else going on
wasn't-
this year.
I never saw it, but wasn't that Precious movie supposed to be well acted?
I mean, that's the one. Monique won Best Supporting Actress for it, so like I think so. I think a lot of people had Gabourey Sidibe as their winner.
Well, maybe that one should have won. I don't know. I just didn't feel like I didn't see that movie, so I don't know.
I mean, I would like for Carey Mulligan to have an Oscar. Like,
yeah, but
me
I
personally.
didn't see that movie. Is that movie
No.
any good?
No, I just like Carey Mulligan, so like
Oh,
why not?
okay. She's great in Drive and
She sure is.
Gatsby. There's other stuff. What else is she in?
I don't know. I gotta be careful because I always make the mistake between like her and Michelle Williams, so I gotta make sure I don't say any Michelle Williams movies.
Yeah, every time I think of Blue Valentine, I have to catch myself and say Michelle Williams instead of
For
that
sure.
one.
It'll get you every time. I'm trying to think what else came out in 2009. I'm like going down the list.
And I'm looking up to Carey Mulligan, trying to figure out what else she was in.
But like, yeah, it's just like not a ton of like big hitters that I'm seeing. Like, I mean, that was like the Avatar year and everything like that. Like, it's just kind of, yeah. I mean, the bigger like movies that I liked were like Inglourious Bastards, which is just all dudes. If anyone was going to be like, the one woman in that movie would have been like nominated for Best Supporting, if anything. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty. Yeah. I mean, that's
a rough.
It's that thing where they like to give awards to movie stars. They decided that the movie star they were going to give it to that year was Sandra Bullock
Instead of what's her face from
Carey
Precious.
Mulligan. Yeah.
Oh, she's also in like Public Enemies. Oh, she's Oh wait, no, she's not. She's in Brothers though. Have you guys seen Brothers?
That's a good movie.
Brothers is fantastic.
Like that movie.
It's one of some of the best acting by Tobey Maguire, I think.
I was about to say that might be. I mean, I know that's not Brendan's favorite, but that
No,
might
it's
be
not.
my favorite Tobey Maguire performance.
No,
Although I
Spider-Man
do
2
like the
is
first.
Brendan's favorite.
I do like him in Spider-Man. I don't remember Spider-Man too much. I'm sure it's comparable to Spider-Man 1, but Spider-Man 1's really good. That's a really good movie.
Yeah, for sure. I think non-Spider-Man, I think Brothers is a good pick. I also might go Gatsby. I really like him in Gatsby.
That's true. Gatsby, for some reason, I feel like people either really love it or really hate it, and I don't understand. I think it's just like a pretty good movie. I don't know why.
I think
because
that's
they're trying to compare it to the old one.
I guess.
no.
Yeah.
I don't think even that, because it's not like people watch the old one too much. It's not like that's heralded as like a classic of American cinema. It's just like we did another adaptation of the book. I think it's just that thing where I don't think it has anything to do with the movie itself, like the story or whatever, or that it's The Great Gatsby. I think it's just Baz Luhrmann always makes movies like that. Like he's a very you're in or you're out director.
Okay.
Like you were either in or you're out for Moulin Rouge, or you are in or you're out for Romeo plus Juliet with Leonardo DiCaprio and everything like that. Like
I forgot.
Yeah. So like it's the same thing with Gatsby. It's like you're either into what it's doing or you are absolutely out. There's no in between.
True. That is true.
I can almost appreciate that though.
Yeah.
He's committed to his style.
Yeah. Well, it's like with any auteur, like whether it's Tarantino or we haven't gotten to this. Like I really like Michael Bay. I know that might get me some eye rolls and like stink eye in the community we're trying to break into, but like say what you will, that man has a vision. He executes it every single time.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
Yeah. But back to this movie we're talking about, Remember the Titans.
Oh yeah.
For sure. I mean, I'm trying to think. Like, I think we haven't talked a whole lot about Will Patton. I think he's pretty great as Yost. Like, I think pretty solid, like supporting performance. I think it's
his speech at the end of the movie is so good.
Oh, 100%.
So good.
Yeah. Are we talking about the Remember Forever
one where he says the night they played the Titans?
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
My God.
Conference final game or whatever, that like semifinal. Where they
it's state. I think it's the final one, is it?
No, it's the one right before the final one.
Yeah, that's right. That right. Yes,
it's when the refs are against them. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like I got the whole thing right here because I knew I wanted to like at least say part of it because you're right. It's so good. It's like writing this really like it's walking this really thin line where it's just like. You're getting into cheesy territory, but he's also like really pulling it off and it's working. Like his whole like, I don't want them to gain another yard. You blitz all night.
Yes, dude.
If they cross the line of scrimmage, I'm gonna fucking what is it?
He doesn't say fucking. I know that.
No, he doesn't say that.
Disney didn't allow that. Why don't you quote yourself there?
Yeah, you're right. If they cross the line of scrimmage, I'm going to take each and every one of you out. You make sure that they remember forever the night they played the Titans. And, like, I love how he leads into that. You make sure they remember. Forever.
Yes.
The night they played the Titans. Like, it's just like – it's that thing we were talking about with Pacino last week where he's just like he finds a way to find a really interesting way to say the lines. It's like you could find like the really boring way to say it. It's like you make sure they remember forever the night they played the Titans. But he like makes like 4 or 5 really interesting decisions in that space of time. Like where he decides to pause, where he decides to emphasize. Like, yeah, it's a great speech. Like he absolutely holds his own with Denzel, which I know is not easy to do because he's Denzel Washington. One of the greatest actors who's ever lived. Like, you know, it's just, like we've been saying, it's like just kind of perfect top to bottom. I want to talk about the score a little bit because, there we go. I think that just hit the 40-minute mark.
No, but dude, we nailed it. I just got a little thing that said, Zoom just sent me a gift. We're cutting off your 40-minute limit. And then it said, yeah, so we're just going to keep rolling because we're out here getting blessed.
Okay.
So let's just keep doing it.
Dude, Zoom needs it.
They waved them. They were like, this podcast is so good. We're just going to listen to you guys.
Now endorsed.
Yeah.
This podcast is sponsored by Zoom.
Yeah.
That Zoom money, it's coming in real well. That, what? It's great. But, what was I saying? But yeah, I mean, I want to talk about the score a little bit and the soundtrack. Because, like, man, it pisses me off because you cannot download or find that score anywhere. Like, that'd be one of the main, like, I have a whole playlist of just, like, scores that I like to listen to. And, like, even, like, when I, like, work out every once in a while, like, that's what I put on because, like, it's that super inspiring, like, stuff like that gets you going.
Heck
like,
yeah.
I wish I could get that Remember the Titans score on here because it is so damn good.
Challenge accepted. I'm gonna find that for you.
Yeah.
Okay. I hope you do.
I'm gonna find it.
I'd love you to find it.
It's out there.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
I mean, it's out there. I can listen to it on YouTube all day long. It's just that, like, I can't, like, on Apple Music or Spotify, I can't get it.
Which one do you have?
Apple Music.
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna get it on Apple Music probably.
Here's what you do. Do you have a MacBook?
I'm
YouTube
using it right now.
MP3 converter.
Dude, exactly.
Mhm.
Go to,
Okay.
you download, so you find the soundtrack,
Mhm.
and then you go to YouTube to mp3.com. You
Mhm.
copy the YouTube URL link, and it transports it from, I'm an idiot.
No, it's not.
It turns it into a MP3, and then you can put it to your iTunes library, and it'll be on your phone, and you can listen to it.
Well, there we go.
I was gonna say I was gonna have it done in 20 minutes, dude.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Dude, 50 pounds down in 2 weeks just because of that one just track of score. Like,
Dude, you're gonna hit the gym every day.
dude, can't wait. But yeah, like, especially that last game, like when they really, like, lay into it after Rev scores the final touchdown.
Mhm.
Like, there's not, like, 3 minutes of just, like, we are going to blare the horns. Each person is, like, out of breath after every, like, 5 bars. It's so goddamn loud. Like, it's so sweeping. It's, like, the exact, perfect picture of, like, what you want out of, like, a final game, we won the game moment.
Yeah.
Like, everything that score is giving you, everything the actors are giving you, like, even the cheesy, like, Yost and Boone having their last little final exchange, like, holding the trophy together and everything. It was just like, what you did with those boys. It's like, you're Hall of Fame in my book. Like, it fucking works like gangbusters.
It really does. It really
Yeah.
does.
Like, especially, like, there's this shot of, like, Rev, he's, like, coming towards the camera. There's, like, 50 guys behind him. And, like, it's when that score, like, really, like, revs up. It's, like, wow.
Mhm.
Like, every time I watch it, I'm floored. You have, like, that shot of Gary Bertier just going, like, in the hospital room. Like, it's so good. And then you got that soundtrack, which just has, like, a bunch of, like, 70s bangers throughout.
Oh yeah.
Like,
What was the name of the song I was talking about with you earlier? The one where Julius actually goes in to, like, meet Gary's family for the first time. What's that song? Is it Cat Williams, I think?
I mean, it's Cat Stevens is the
Yeah.
artist, and the song is Peace Train.
That's it. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, like,
That's
got
a
some of that.
great song. Like I said,
You got-
I'm telling you, that's on my Spotify playlist now because of that movie. It inspired.
Oh, sure.
I put a song in
Dude,
that.
Every time I watch this movie, I add a song to my playlist.
I bet. Should.
Like, James Taylor's, like, Fire and Rain, that's one I always go back to. I love that song. You've got, like, some Creedence on there. Like, some big, like, 70s hitters. Like, love that whole soundtrack up and down. The score, like, you don't get it usually because either a movie will pick one or the other. You don't get a ton of movies with, like, a great score and a great soundtrack.
Yeah.
This is, like, one of the few that does. Like,
So, it's really hard to accomplish, I feel like, to have songs that match a tone that you're already trying to set with your
Yeah.
own, like, score of a film. That seems very challenging to do.
Yeah.
Oh, 100% is. But the fact, like, I think it helps that it's a movie set in the 70s.
Okay.
That, like, you have, like, this whole library. Okay, it's always going to fit because we're in the 70s.
Mhm.
Whether, like, it fits with the score or not, like, we're going to have, like, the costumes, the setting, like, the, just, like, design of the rest of the movie is, like, going to fit with that soundtrack no matter what.
That's a good point.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure. Is there anything else, like, movie-wise that we want to talk about?
Is there anything else we want to talk about that we love? What you mean? Is that what you meant to say?
I mean, just anything in general. Like, I feel like we've covered most of the bases.
For sure. Yeah.
I mean, we've said Denzel is great. We've said the younger football cast is great. It's funny, like, it's heartwarming. It, like, gives you everything you want out of a sports movie. It's the best football movie. Like, I feel like
It's got
we've
its
covered most of
flaws,
that
but
stuff.
yeah, but they're not that. There's not too many of them.
Yeah, like, we've covered the stuff that I kind of have a problem with. Like, I mean, we've talked about, like, the fact that the crash always gets me. Like, I'm always crying by that time.
Yeah.
Like, that shot of them, like, the fact that, like, Julius gets there and like everyone is already there. Like Boone is already talking to the doctor, like his mother's there. Like it's just all that works. Like there's not many false notes I find in this movie.
Yeah, I think it's really just a quality film. It's from start to finish. It's interesting. It doesn't feel like that much of an investment in terms of time. It feels like it's a relatively quick watch. It hits you in the heart with drama. It makes you laugh, like you were saying. I think it's one of Disney's like top shelfers, probably. I would say.
I would agree with that.
One of the things that I was kind of just having this thought since we've been talking. But one of the things I really like about this movie is, have you guys ever seen Full Metal Jacket?
Yes.
I have not.
Okay, well, Full Metal Jacket. Okay, perfect. So you've seen the first half. So you've seen part one of the two-part movie.
Yeah.
Because that's literally what it is. And that's kind of like, this movie draws a little bit of similarity just in like, when they go off to camp, that feels like a whole film, like itself, like the camp coming together. And then when they come back, it's like a restart. It's a brand new film. And that to me was something that like is what made this movie even better than what I'd originally seen it as, because that to me is like, that's a really impressive thing to do. I mean, it's hard enough to have a good film, but to make almost a film within a film and have it be like two separate stories, that to me is just, that shows how good like the writing was and how really fluid it was throughout, because it happened so seamlessly, but it's like two distinct chapters of the movie.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
For sure. I mean, especially the fact that like you get most of like the coaching like in that first half.
For sure.
Like, obviously, there's stuff in the second, like when Yost puts Petey in at defense and everything like that. And I love like the always back and forth, like you worry about your offense, you worry about your defense. Like that's always some good stuff. And the moment that Yost is like, or like, I forget if it's like Henry or like Boone that he calls him, but it's like, I need some help on defense. Ed Henry's kicking my ass. Like, just like, that's his like big moment where he's just like, he puts his pride away and everything like that. Like that's his big emotional moment, everything like that. But like, you get most of the coaching stuff there. And then like the second half is like these guys trying to deal with the real world that's like crashing down on them.
Yeah.
Like, and the fact that like, you know, you have like these really good moments where like they get lost a little bit. Like everyone kind of goes their separate ways. Like most things happen. Like it's that thing where everyone talks about how, like the Breakfast Club, like everyone, like a good amount of people are like, oh, that's such a good ending. Like they're going to be friends and everything. Those people do not hang out ever again.
No, not once.
They see each other on Monday. Like Anthony
really
Michael Hyde tries to like wave to Ben. He's like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah,
absolutely not.
He would deny that Saturday morning detention any day. He'd be like, I didn't, what, dude? I don't know you. Like, get the fuck away from me. That weird girl's not going to talk to anybody.
No.
There's no way.
Absolutely not. But, like, it's that thing where, like, they nail that where it's just like, yeah, they, like, start to just, like, yeah, that whole, like, you know, we're all brothers and everything. Like, race doesn't matter. Like, it's immediately just, like, and the fact like that's a nice scene where they like get everyone back together like in the gym and everything like that. Yeah, man. I mean, yeah.
I gotta jump in real quick. So Matt, and Brendan were talking amongst ourselves earlier about just an opinion. Who's the MVP of that football team? Because me and Brendan ended up being on the same page, and so I'm just truly curious to.
Let me see here. Let me think. It's been a while since I've seen it, but if I had to guess, I'd probably say that's tough because my instinct is to say that the heart of that team and the captain of that team is probably Gary.
Yeah.
But sometimes captains aren't the best players on the team.
Okay.
So the best player on the team, would it still be Gary? I'm not sure. I feel like there's a point, and forgive me, it's been a while since I've seen it, but I feel like there's a point in the movie where their quarterback play seems to upgrade. I know they bring in Sunshine.
Yeah. Rev is the guy who is originally quarterback because Sunshine can't make the pitch.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Rev gets hurt because Ray doesn't block for him, which we haven't talked about Ray. Absolute scumbag. We all hate Ray.
Yeah, that's why we haven't talked about Ray, because fuck Ray. I don't want to talk about Ray.
Ray sucks.
We can talk about Ray. Ray's a scumbag.
Fuck Ray. That's all I got.
One of the best scenes in the movie is when Gary gets to cut Ray outside the locker room. That's good stuff.
Yes,
Love it.
It feels
Every
so
single time.
gratifying to watch when he's like, it's my call, not the coach's.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
100%.
Ow.
Because Ray doesn't block for Rev, and that's why Gary kicks him off the team. It's like, I know he missed that block on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably say Gary.
Okay.
I'd probably say Gary, maybe. I don't know. Who did you guys say?
So we talked about it a little bit. We were thinking we also had the instinct to be like Gary or Julius are like the heart of the team. They're the leaders of the team. Like you said, it is easy to be like, well, yeah, those are the guys. Like the team wouldn't be the team if it wasn't for them.
Does someone on that team play both ways? Am I remembering
A
correctly?
couple of them do.
Petey does, yeah.
PD does. Okay.
Because remember, Petey was supposed to be the running back, but he always fumbles the football. So
And he has the redemption arc, right?
Yeah, where he
maybe it's Petey.
Yeah, that's Turk and everything like that. And Dios is like, hey man, come play defense for me. Just cover 13 for the rest of the game. That's all I want you to do.
Yeah, he came in pretty clutch there, man. Maybe he's like the sixth man. On the bench, he can do a little bit of everything.
See, but he was in contention, and we also had Sunshine in contention because think about it. This man takes over at quarterback, halfway through game 2 or 3, early in the season. He has to play the rest of the game because Rev can't throw at all anymore.
And they're losing when he comes in.
Yeah.
In the middle of a coaching scandal, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he just especially new place too. He's just switched teams.
He's from out of town. These are different.
California boy, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, sir.
People think he's gay and they're being mean to him. They're not just racist.
They're homophobic also in Alexandria, Virginia.
Yeah, they're coming after everybody.
Go figure.
Yeah, shocker.
I love how he's just he's from California.
Yeah.
But yeah, he comes in. The first play, he fucking suplexes one of the linebackers that's coming for him.
And he purposely does. He just let him through.
Yeah, let him through. He fucking puts the guy that took Rev out on the ground immediately.
I love the score or when the music cue right after he does it when they drop. I forget what song it is, but that cue of that guitar, you're just like, okay, here we go.
Yeah, 100%. He leads them all the way through a perfect season.
Mm-hmm.
And he blocks for Rev on the game-winning play.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty good.
Ronnie Bass is a pretty solid option for MVP for the 1971 TC Williams football team.
I think it's decided.
Game ball.
I do I do have a point that's a little bit off topic, but you asked me before we go if we were thinking of anything. I did think of something that I wanted to say that I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of so it kind of goes along with what you were talking about in the final play and everything.
Mm-hmm.
The football in that movie, it might be shot better than most, but the actual football,
it's insane.
It doesn't make any sense. It's why did they not come up with a more reasonable championship dramatic ending instead of this
our quarterback is going to block for our other quarterback.
Yeah,
he's going to run
out
70 yards.
Hail Mary, it's ridiculous play. Why not make it
100%.
Hey, why not be 4th and goal, down 4? No, it's it's
70-yard run.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. And that happens every time there's a close game. It's not your traditional, he's down 3 and they got the ball. It's the most radical stuff, and they have to pull a last-second play out of their ass to win the game every time.
Well, I mean, that's why is because it's not going to be as dramatic if they're first and inches with 30 seconds left.
I guess, but it's just do you guys
I agree with you.
Hail Mary ending every weekend?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yes.
But
yes,
you do.
No, you're right. It's ridiculous, and this is based on a true story. I don't know how it went down in that final game. I'm glad it's how it goes down in this movie because it is really fun to watch. Just Ronnie Bass just boom, boom as Rev is just running down the line with that score going. It's great, but you're right. If I'm just looking at that, that's what you guys came up with.
No,
because
great.
It's one of those
Great
plays.
specific shots that you just mentioned. Those were great shots, but it's
you're right.
What the heck is this?
No, well, it's that thing where it's one of those coaching decisions where it's if it works, you're a god. If it doesn't, you're the biggest moron in the world. It's the fucking Marshawn, it's the fucking,
Oh, don't say it.
running it passing it instead of running it in the Seahawks-Patriots Super Bowl.
Yes.
Like, that's it. It was just like, what are you doing? This isn't how you play football. Are you insane?
That game was crazy.
I got PTSD talking about that. That's the last game I ever bet on in my entire life because I picked the Seahawks, and I was like, oh, dude, I freaking won $500. And then I paid $500 20 minutes later. Shit, 10 seconds later. Dude, worst.
I had a $200 bet on the Falcons Patriots Super Bowl. I bet the Patriots, but at halftime the guy I bet let me out of the deal, and then they came back and won, so I would have won anyways. I was so irritated.
Damn Patriots, dude.
I know, man. They screw us every time.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Dude, I still remember watching the Seahawks Patriots Super Bowl at your parents' older house, and that was like 5 minutes from my place.
That was the best, man. That was one of the more iconic Super Bowl endings.
It was like everyone was there. Like Wisnett was there, Davey was there. Like, oh my god, it was so good.
Good stuff, man.
Oh, absolutely. But yeah, I think that's all we got. Remember the Titans wise. I know me and you, Matthew. We want to do some top 5 Denzel talk. We just want to talk shop on Denzel a little bit.
Before we do the top 5, though, I think this is the opportunity for you to plug in this week's trivia question.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's this week's trivia question. All right. So I don't know how we'll do this. We might announce it like on our Instagram post, like what we'll do if you get it right or anything like that. But so what I had is obviously we just talked about this movie soundtrack, a lot of 70s stuff. And I found a lot of connections with one certain other movie set in the 70s. So this movie shares a lot of songs and an actress with another movie set in the 70s. What is that movie? That's what I got this week, guys. Same as last week. If you want to like message us on our Instagram or something like that with the answer, go at it. We'll figure out like what our prize is going to be like before we put that out and everything like that. So yeah, for sure. If you guys, yeah, that's a trivia question for this week. That's what I got.
Yeah, it's at Few Good Movies on Instagram. Send it via DM there, and that's where we'll respond to all of your answers.
That's right. So how do we want to do this? Do you want to give like your 5? I'll give my 5. You give your 4. I give like that kind of deal, or how do you want to do this?
We could just do like I'll give my top 5. You can give yours.
Okay, that's fair. You want to go first?
Yeah, I'm a little eager, so I'm gonna jump in here.
Let's do it.
I'm gonna put I essentially have them in order, kind of. Here, we'll see. I'm going to just give you my top 5. It's pretty close. I'll start from 5, and I'll make my way up. At 5 was Remember the Titans.
Okay.
4, I went old school, and I had to plug in Philadelphia.
Okay.
Because that performance with him and Tom Hanks is pretty groundbreaking.
Pretty solid.
There's some very serious moments in that film. Number 3, I don't think this movie gets talked about enough by Denzel Washington, but it was one of my favorite movies growing up. Don't ask me why. It's a weird movie to like as a kid. But John Q. I
still need to see it.
I like seen John Q.
Oh, dude, come on! I can give you like 5 you haven't seen.
Shut up! Shut up! What happened?
Is that the one that takes place in a hospital?
That's the one, yeah, where his son has like an enlarged heart and he collapses on the baseball field. But his insurance can't cover it, so he ends up like holding the building hostage until someone gets him a transplant.
Great movie. It's been a while since I've heard. That was a good movie.
When it comes to like raw emotion and the way you see Denzel interacting with his child, and that's a movie you cannot get through without crying at least twice. It is heavy, but oh man, it's so.
I might watch that actually this weekend.
John Q. I highly recommend it. Brendan, you're right. You can name 5 that I haven't seen. I'm not happy about that, but I'm gonna keep moving on.
All right, that's right.
Number 2, this might be my favorite movie of all time, American Gangster. That movie is so badass. I love
it's underrated.
It's completely underrated. I love Russell Crowe, and it's amazing. The dynamic between him and Denzel is frank. Oh man, and just that character, the way that character just takes charge of a room and he just knows what he wants and he goes for it. And then plus that story in general is based off a true story and it's fucking badass. And then I don't think you haven't seen this one either, but my all-time favorite movie by Denzel Washington is The Book of Eli.
That's a good movie.
The Book of Eli is, I think it was because it was just, I remember I never had such a wild experience first time watching a movie. Like the way it ends and the things that you learn from it. It's one of those movies that every time you watch it, you get a little bit something else from it. And Denzel's performance, again, once you like realize that, I'm not going to spoil it for you because there's something that you find out when you watch it. But once you realize like what's going on with him and you start to watch his movements and his actions and just the way he carries himself, wow, man, it just, it's the story itself is also incredible. I mean, it's like this whole apocalyptic thing, you know, I mean, it's very reminiscent of like the things he talks about, like what made the world fall apart. He talks about shit that's happening right now, kind of. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, so that would be my top 5 for sure of films by Denzel Washington, or the performances, I should say.
Okay. All right. I got a lot of similar movies on there. I'm surprised one movie in particular is not in there, but we'll get to that when I say it.
Okay.
I also had Remember the Titans at 5.
Okay.
I think like it's a perfect like gateway into Denzel for anyone who has never seen a movie from him. Like Matt was saying, like you know, this was the first time that like us as kids was like introduced to that actor.
Sure.
And I think it's a perfect, like, you get exactly like what his thing is. Like you get a feel for like how he delivers dialogue, like like the kind of performer he is. Like it's fantastic for that. Number 4, I went Inside Man.
Okay.
Great movie.
Incredible movie.
Good one.
So good. Like
one of my favorites.
It's a movie where I know me and Matt have talked about this. I love a movie where people just like talk a lot. Like, and that's one of those movies where it was like just Denzel, he gets to just like keep talking the whole movie with like really great dialogue. I mean, it's Spike Lee directing, like one of the best. It's a super solid heist movie too, like a lot of fun twists and turns. Yeah, so if you haven't seen that one, like that's my like more like fun, I guess kind of more action kind of pick for that one. Like my American Gangster pick, sort of, I guess.
Okay.
Where it's just like Denzel's in control. He gets to be like just like a detective, like fun as shit kind of deal. Number 3, I went Philadelphia. Like it's just the super, you get to see another side of him that you don't really get to see a ton. Like he's really showing a sensitive side in that movie that he doesn't show in a lot of other movies. And just to see him work with Hanks, like, is great. They have a solid back and forth with each other. And Matt also knows this. I love a good courtroom drama because once again, it's just people talking the whole time. And Denzel, once again, like it's his one courtroom drama. So like, I'm going to be a big fan of that no matter what.
If talking is a sport, then like courtroom talking is like the Super Bowl.
Absolutely. 100%.
You know what I'm saying? It's like,
absolutely.
If you like talking, you're really going to like talking in a courtroom.
100%.
Dude,
Because there's like all these rules.
That's why we're called A Few Good Movies, based off of A Few Good Men.
That's right. One of my favorites. Can't wait to do it someday.
Oh, yeah.
Then number 2, I got Malcolm X, another Spike Lee movie. Like, it's that same thing that people like were saying when DiCaprio was like in his like Oscar campaign for Wolf of Wall Street. Like that's just like 3 hours of Denzel just like completely embodying like this icon of American history. It's also like a performance you wouldn't expect, just because like once again, like we know Denzel, we know his thing, and he doesn't do a lot of that in this movie, which I think would have been like an easy way out for him to like play Malcolm X like he's Denzel Washington, but he actually like really gives his all in like giving that performance life and giving that figure life. Really great movie. I mean, once again, Spike Lee, one of the best, one of his better movies. Then number 1, I can't believe you don't have this on your list. It's Training Day. Like it's Training Day.
I knew.
Training Day is his best performance. Like there's no question. It's the quintessential perfect Denzel performance.
I fucking knew it, dude. I'm telling you, I was battling between that and Remember the Titans for 20 minutes. I swear to God.
I get it, because like we were saying, like it's the exact kind of thing where it's just like he's doing kind of the same thing in Remember the Titans that he's doing in Training Day, but he's like doing like a different side of it. He's adding a little more to it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really surprised neither of you said Man on Fire.
It's in my honorable mentions. Like it was tough to, but like, and I got a couple of this because like I also got like Unstoppable, Glory. He Got Game is a great one.
The train movie?
It's great. Man.
Yeah, it is. That actually is a really good movie.
I've seen that movie. I didn't.
Or dude, Flight. Have you guys seen Flight?
I actually haven't seen Flight. I should watch.
Pretty good.
Ooh, check out Flight. Flight.
Yeah.
I have seen Unstoppable. That's. I don't know.
I'd go back and watch it. Like,
okay.
considering like where we are, what kind of movies we make today, like I'd kill for an Unstoppable to be made today.
All right,
Like,
I'll check it out.
Just like a 90-minute, like full out, like action thriller kind of movie.
All
Where it's
right.
just like Denzel Washington going to Chris Pine, you young people. Like he's just like, he's basically doing what he does to this team to Chris Pine the whole movie, just like in a very enclosed space.
All right,
Like,
I'll
it's
have to-
great.
I'll have to reconsider it.
Love that movie. But I also, like, I got Man on Fire. I got Crimson Tide. Devil in a Blue Dress.
Today?
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, it's just like Training Day is what you think of when you think of a Denzel performance. It's like, it's why when anyone does an impression of him, or like when Jay Farrow does an impression of him, that's the movie they look to like start doing the impression.
Mhm.
Everything like that. All the head movements, like every single note of that performance is like perfect. It's incredible.
Maybe that's why I didn't choose it. Maybe it felt too cliche to go with Training Day.
That's fair, but you got to put it in the top 5. Like, not putting it in the top 5 is like, listen, if you want to go like off the wall for your number 1, I understand. I get it. I put, like, when we tried to do Captain Phillips, I picked Toy Story as my best Tom Hanks performance.
Mm.
Like, I'm for the off the wall thing, but there's an undeniable thing about the Training Day performance.
There is. There is. We should
Like-
do a top 6.
Yeah. But like, it's that thing where, like I said, like if you're looking for like, okay, I want to get into Denzel Washington. What is his energy like? What's his like kind of deal? How does he perform?
Mhm.
Training Day is what I point to every single time because you get every aspect of it. You get him just fucking putting Ethan Hawke through the ringer every single moment.
Mhm.
You get the seductive side to him too, where he'll like really just like draw you in, even though he's like this terrible person throughout the whole movie. It's the most unlikable I think he's ever been in a movie, and I'm still just like enthralled by him and can't take my eyes off. Like he's absolutely insane in that movie. But yeah, I think that's what I got. Matt, you got any you like want to put in? Like, what's your favorite Denzel performance? Anything like that?
Well, it's hard to beat. All of those. I think Remember the Titans. I have a thing with like nostalgia, and I watched
fair.
that movie and I just feel different than. I don't think it's his best movie, but
Mhm.
there is something about it where I just put it on and it makes me feel warm and fuzzy.
And I agree with you. Like,
there's so few movies that I regularly watch that. Well, I don't regularly watch. There's so few movies that I love that offer that specific type of feeling. So it's probably my favorite. I do like Man on Fire a lot. I do like Inside Man. Training Day is obviously a very good movie. I just like Denzel Washington. He's in so few bad movies.
we were talking about this like when we
I need
first
to see
decided.
Deja Vu. I haven't seen that.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is just like me and Matthew were talking about this where we're just like, even like Denzel's bad movies, like I'm still there for opening day.
Yeah,
Like,
Equalizer. Like I didn't really like that
No.
movie, but like I'll watch it and I'll watch the second one.
yeah, it's just like, he's one of the few actors I still go like opening weekend, every movie they put out.
Yeah.
Like from like I saw Two Guns in the theater. I saw fucking both Equalizer movies in the theater. Like I'm there. I saw his like Magnificent Seven movie, like went back in the theaters. Like, it's just like, it's always a joy to watch him work. Cause I feel like there's always something to him that I'm like, just like innately going to be interested by no matter what.
Well, Brennan,
Yeah.
this goes back to what you were talking about. I think we mentioned this when we were talking about Inception, about like the dying of like a true like movie star that has like that star pull. And Denzel Washington is certainly one of those people that still has that massive like star pull. And like,
Yeah.
you'll go like we just all said, if you put his name on the bill, I'm going to go, I don't even care what the movie's about. I'm going to
Yeah.
see it.
Yeah.
Like, I just thought this, like, you know how like every like big actor, even like every movie star has that one performance we all dog on them on. Like Tom Hanks has like Bonfire of the Vanities or something like that. Leonardo DiCaprio has some of his like earlier movies where he's still like trying to figure out what he's going to be. Like I think like, what is it? It's like Leprechaun 2 or something that he's in.
Is he really in
Whatever.
Leprechaun too?
I think so. I know like Jennifer Aniston is in Leprechaun. I know Leonardo DiCaprio is in like one bad like horror movie sequel. I know that for sure. I forget exactly which one, but it's one of those. Like Tom Cruise has a couple. You know, there always these movies that like there's the one movie that are like, but that one was a misfire. Denzel has never really had that.
Yeah.
I think that speaks volumes. I think it speaks to just the fact that he's like very choosy about what he does too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and you can see it in every like I've never seen Denzel give a half-assed performance either. Like I feel like he's always in.
Yeah, I would agree.
Especially the fact like he keeps working with the same people. Like Antoine Fuqua is someone he's always worked with. Like he did like Training Day and Equalizer movies and Magnificent Seven and so many of his other like bigger action movies. But yeah, it's just like that thing. Like who doesn't like Denzel?
I don't know. If you don't like Denzel, it's like, do you just not like good acting? Consistency and
Nothing wrong with you.
Yeah, and it's like why he's kind of the perfect lead for this movie. It's just like, really, you're gonna argue with Denzel Washington? Like, come on. There's no doing that. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah, you can't do it. You can't justify it.
He's too damn charming. He's just like he knows. I know it's just his character, but like he knows exactly what to say, how to say it, and when to say it. Like he's just whenever he enters a room, there's just like something happens.
Yeah.
Like even like the scenes where, which I love, the scenes where it's just the players or something like that. Like you're just like, so where's Denzel? When's he coming back? Like I need more Herman Boone in my life. Like you know, it's the same thing. Which the Lost Captain Phillips episode, like, or the same thing as Tom Hanks, where he's just like he's just a pillar. Like, you look up at it, you're just like, Jesus, like, nothing's gonna bring him down. Like, I'm always gonna love Denzel Washington.
Yeah,
no matter what.
He's great.
I think that's about all we got from Remember the Titans. Unless you guys got something else to say, I think we covered pretty much everything.
No, I think we were pretty thorough on it. Actually, I think we were more thorough than I expected. To be honest,
Sure.
we kept really going into it.
I mean, this is a movie where you got so much to talk about. Like,
it's a lot. It's a great movie. It's an iconic movie. I grew up watching it. It's just great.
100%. So yeah, everybody, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Follow us on our Instagram and our Twitter, all that good stuff. Matt, thank you so much for being with us, being our first guest.
Of course.
Matt, why don't you go ahead and plug in your IG handle real quick? Say it for us, just so people can follow you.
Yeah, I think it's HeAuxGan, Hogan, but spelled like an LSU fan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Love it every time. All right, guys. Yeah. So thanks for watching. We will see you guys next week.
All righty. Until then, people.